war on prison contraband is a never-ending problem. Introduction of drugs and weapons into our prisons and jails will always be a problem we have to deal with in corrections. Just recently in Colorado, an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old were arrested for using an air cannon to attempt to fire drugs and tobacco over the fence of a federal prison. Luckily, an alert deputy sheriff noticed them and caught them with the goods before they could get the drugs into the prison. There was about $112,000 worth of tobaccos and drugs involved, methamphetamine. Had that package got into that prison, it would have been devastating to the prison compound. What I mean by that is the meth usage could have led to all kinds of incidents among inmates who don't want to be involved in danger and among the staff members working in the prison system. I was recently asked, what do I think about, how is the best way to detect drugs soaked in paper? And we have several ways this comes into the prison. One way, of course, is by mail, and it's been coming in by mail for several years, but not every institution has the equipment to detect it properly. It's very hard to detect because it's such a small amount soaked into paper in so many incidents. So, the mail room looks at the mail, maybe holds the mail up to the light, doesn't really see anything. So what's another option? Well, not every mail room in every jail and prison across the country can afford to have a canine to check the mail every day of the week coming in to the prisons and jails. And it is checked before going to the inmates, but it's hard to detect. Now, an x-ray machine can be used, but a regular x-ray machine can even miss or detect or show some type of drug in the paper. You would almost have to have a 3D x-ray machine in every mail room at the jails and prisons, because a 3D x-ray machine can pick up a lot more. Now, the ideal thing that we need to happen is everybody go to electronic mail. Electronic mail is the best answer for that avenue of introduction of drugs soaked in paper. The other avenue is the hardest one. When we do have a corrupt staff member, whether it be uniformed or civilian, involved with an inmate, bringing in drugs, bringing in paper soaked with drugs, it's very, very hard to stop that. We have to find out somehow that it's going on, then we have to start an investigation, then we have to make plans on setting up a sting operation to catch the individual bringing in drugs, weapons, cell phones, all kinds of contraband. That is one of our worst enemies. And you will never change my mind, and I know that I've talked to a lot of people across the country in corrections. It's hard to take it, and many want to deny it because we don't want to have that image. But the largest amount of contraband coming into a jail or prison is by a prison employee, whether it be your maintenance man, a nurse, a chaplain, chaplain's assistants, counselors have even been caught. I've done investigations for 12 years in prisons, and every one of these I'm naming, I've had a case on. It's a small percentage, folks, but they really taint the image bad of the honest, hard-working correctional officers and correctional officer staff. We really have to understand the importance of training in ethics, inmate manipulation, and the importance of reporting a corrupt individual working in the prison system. Oh, I don't want to be a snitch. Oh, I don't want to be the guy or girl that turned them in. Well, if you don't turn them in and it's discovered that you knew about it and didn't turn them in, your job's gone anyway. But it is your duty to turn them in. We have statutes here in Florida and policies and procedures for how long you have to report a crime that you have witnessed. And I want you to know you have to know that it's happening. You have to have seen something solid. It's like an injunction, you know. Don't just make up stuff because you want to put an injunction against someone. Have the tangible evidence either in writing or what you saw or what you know and the date and time. Okay, we don't want to play games with, I think somebody's bringing in contraband. We don't want to ruin somebody's career because you think something. We want to catch a criminal if you know something. It's the best way I can say it. That will help slow down a lot of the prison contraband by catching corrupt people bringing it in. We also have the visitors that bring it in as well, and they could get a piece of paper in there. They can get things in there. They get pills sewn into their bras, in their anal cavities and other cavities of the body, and hide drugs that way. It's a wild world when you talk about prison contraband. What is contraband, people say? Well, it could be nothing more than a paper clip. And you ask the inmate, why do you have this paper clip? Well, I'm cleaning my fingernails. Well, no, I'll take that paper clip. Because that paper clip could be used to hurt somebody. It could be used for self-harm. It can be used on an officer or a prison staff member to cut them. Something as simple as a paper clip. Razor blades. The best definition is anything not allowed by the prison or jail for the inmate to have is contraband. And if an inmate uses something that is allowed as a weapon or to do something criminal with, then that becomes contraband as well. I think officers always could use a brush-up course on contraband. What's a good way to deter contraband in the prison system? Well, staff shortages are always the excuse, but even with staff shortages, we have to find a way to do this. We have to do random cell searches. We have to do shakedowns. We have to stop inmates periodically and say, stop, against the wall, pat down, search. We need to have politicians stop telling us how to keep our environment safe in the prison, because they're not helping by taking away some of the tools we have. Oh, you can't do this anymore. You can't handcuff an inmate during movement, inside movement. You can only handcuff them once they're at the sally port and then secure them for the drive to the hospital or whatever. You know, do they not realize that moving a group of inmates within the institution from one place to another, if they're not handcuffed, they can harm you? It's happened over and over and over and over, but that's a whole nother story right there, and that's going on up in New York. I had to throw that in there. It's just a shame what we're going through. It's bad enough that we have contraband that kills, drugs, weapons, phones that are used to formulate escape plans and death threats and hits on people on the street through gang members. So many things. We have to go back to the grind, folks, and we have to be allowed to do our job properly to keep everyone safe behind the walls. And in the meantime, while keeping ourselves safe behind the walls, we're keeping the community safe, protecting the community. So we need to conduct thorough cell searches. We need to have cell search training. We need to know what to look for. We need to know that above us is a ceiling, below us is a floor, on the sides of us are walls, vents, toilets, sinks, pipes, you name it. Beds with maybe areas under the beds and inside the bed rails to hide things. All kinds of things going on. And we have to conduct these random searches. We have to keep the inmates on their toes to let them know we are still in charge, not the inmate. And the sooner we get back to doing these things, the better for the safety of everyone involved. I just wanted to kind of do a refresher on the importance of contraband, the dangers of contraband, and why we search for contraband. There's people just don't understand it. You know, why can't they have that? Safety and security, folks. Keep people alive. Yes, including the incarcerated. We're keeping other inmates alive and safe from the dangerous inmates who are dealing drugs and having weapons smuggled in. Sounds simple, isn't it? But it's very complex, the prison contraband war. Please train on it and stay safe, everyone. True Prison Stories. Please subscribe.